We just have to get away from that mind shift that more is always better. So what do you try to replace it with? You kind of go after that less but better. Less but better is a really, really good topic. And
so second book is Focus on the Good Stuff, The Power of Appreciation by Mike Robbins. So tell me a little bit about that one.
Yeah, he was a baseball pitcher. He didn't really have a huge baseball career. I think he got injured. But again, his big focus is being intentional. It was definitely around things like everything is a trade-off. You have to, every yes is a no to something else. And you consciously, have to default from your yes answer. Whatever you're going to do, whatever you're going to focus on, it generally always expands. And so it's going to fill the time that you might not think it's going to fill. And then it comes down to, the title of the book, appreciating people at work, appreciating people at home. What does that look like? Is it verbal recognition? Is it, just ways of showing gratitude and understanding that everybody receives differently? So if
love languages
goes back to those love languages. Yeah.
What if you're all of them though?
Your husband's in trouble.
Oh, it's not me. It's him. I'm kidding.
But yeah, I think, we've always heard you catch more bees, or what is it? Flies with honey. You catch more.
Mm-hmm.
What's the saying?
Catch more bees with honey.
Okay.
Something like that.
Something like that. So, there's definitely that saying, but, I've always tried and believe, recognition is always going to get you further ahead than just correction. There's a time for coaching and improving performance, and how you do that should be connected to the reason why you're doing it.
Yeah.
And, there's definitely always a kind of that sweet spot.
Thanks for tuning in to the Healthy Careers Podcast. In 2024, we reached over 32,000 listeners and ranked in the top 15% of all podcasts. We're proud to have SharePro Health as a sponsor and are currently looking for 2 more partners in 2025. If you're looking to connect with healthcare leaders, providers, and innovators, we'd love to spread the word about your service, product, or business. Reach out to me, Maddie, for more details.
Well, and I think it's tying it back to being intentional about what you're doing. If you're just doing things to please somebody to make them like you, then what are you doing? Because you can do that and everyone's going to be your best friend, but are you actually happy? Are you actually fulfilled? Do you feel like the work that you're doing is doing something for you as well? Because your time is just as valuable as theirs. And I think sometimes something that I've struggled with is saying no without explaining myself. No is an answer, but I'm always no because I've got blah, 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 and word vomit. And I think that's in my mind. Okay, well, but if you say no to something, somebody might deserve an explanation if they're your spouse or they're your children or your family member or friend, or even at work, right? Like giving reason is not necessarily justifying yourself, but it allows them to understand the why. So that if they're a people pleaser going, well, what did I do?
What did I do to make this person mad?
Yeah. Because when people just tell me no, I'm like, well, I need to understand why. Did I do something wrong? Did I upset you?
Yeah. And I think that's the other side of that. Even my friends now know, if they say, hey, we're going to a concert and, it's in South Atlanta, I kind of have to decide, number one, I love to spend time with my friends, but is that really a 9 for me? And they kind of know. They've heard my saying, like, I'm so sorry, that's just not going to work for me right now, but maybe I'll catch you guys when you get back, or, maybe I'll meet you somewhere after the concert. And so, living intentionally, I think, is also something that's kind of in both books, getting off autopilot and just trying to make sure you're doing what you said, doing what, still trying to find ways to have a little fun. And I think whether it's through spending time with having unique time and dedicated time with friends or with a spouse or with a partner, in some way, kind of making sure that you are, checking the boxes that you want checked, because your boxes are going to be different than mine.
Right. And everybody fuels up differently. If you're introverted or extroverted, if, sometimes you're both.
Yeah, I am. I'm an ambivert. So I can go from a 5 to a 5 on both sides of that spectrum. And I'm never going to be the most extroverted or the most introverted, but I learned that I charge up alone, either reading or just watching some TV for a little bit or something. But yeah.
And sometimes socially, it's like you're up for it. And then other times you're like, no, that sounds exhausting. I'd rather be by myself.
Yeah. And that's where you have to know that, because if you're living a social media life and just trying to keep up with the Joneses, and now it's keeping up with the Kardashians, it's changed over these last 20, 50 years.
Yeah.
Before you just saw your neighbor, and it's much less pressure to keep up with our neighbors than the pressure that I know even my kids and their generation feel.
Oh, yeah. The amount of mental health issues that have stemmed from the expectations set on comparison from social media. I mean, even as a new mom, I feel it, because you go on and you see these moms that are getting this and getting that. And my kid, does yoga at age, 6 months. And you're like, wait, my kid can't even roll. What are you talking about?
Yep.
And, it's so different, because even my parents' generation, and they didn't have that pressure. It was more based on intuition, and it was more based on being in the moment rather than having this concept of what you were supposed to be and what society told you needed to have.
Yeah.
It's wild.
And I think that's the challenge that, both of these books kind of connect with, of what truly matters and how do we help, whether it's at work. I always use purpose, value, and impact. If I can help an employee find their purpose, where they feel valued, and show them their impact, I know they're going to do a great job. They're going to treat our patients with, the best care that our patients can get. They're going to create, when we can create a wonderful atmosphere for our employees, they're going to immediately create a wonderful opportunity for our patients to receive care. It's a win-win. It's not rocket science.
Right.
And helping them figure out what really matters, definitely key.